We the true Jews, but it's actually us. They was black men.
They stole our identity when we became slaves. I told her that.
Correct.
She don't understand that. I told her they stole the black people's identity when we became slaves. They went over there and took over there.
Right.
Yep.
How long we gonna be right here?
We're gonna be here
for a while.
Man, I'm gonna go here. I can get her. Oh,
get out of here.
I'm glad y'all here.
Take that too. Rolled up right here. First, remote control.
All right, Shalom. We want to give all praise and glory to Heavenly Father Yahweh in the name of our Lord and Savior Yahawashi. Peace, mercy, and blessings be abound to you, brothers and sisters throughout the four corners of the earth that are waiting on the second coming of our Lord and Savior Yahawashi Mashiach, that we may be able to get eternal everlasting life according to His will and according to His mercy. We're going to just kind of maybe go into just a few different things. It's going to be various topics. We might stick with one, but as you know, a lot of prophecies are coming to pass. And while prophecies are coming to pass, we're still trying to get the Israel on the correct doctrine.
Exactly.
Well, those that will be meant to hear. Because it's not according to our own will. It's according to the Father's will to open up the ears and the eyes of those that it's meant for.
Yep.
So that's something quick.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point that's being brought out, is that it's according to the Father's will. Because a lot of times, you'll have your family members, and sometimes you want them to get this, you desire them to get this information, and they just not hearing it. And and you try to push upon them to get it, but a lot of times it's not meant for them.
That's right. It's the book of Romans, chapter 11 and verse 7. What then? Israel has not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election has obtained it, and the rest were blinded.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, our people are searching for the truth, but the Most High has an election according to His will.
Right.
That He's only going to allow certain ones to hear it. We were talking about earlier about how a lot of this stuff is hidden in plain sight. That's what the brother was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
About how the Most High has stuff already written in the scriptures, hidden in plain sight in order only for His election to understand, not for all Israel.
Excuse me, y'all. She from all the way on Caucasus Mountain.
You say
from
Colorado?
No, the snow.
You say the Caucasus Mountain?
She from there. They love snow. Listen, she said Jesus he wasn't black. Wait a minute. Jewish. Wait, oh, no, yes.
No problem.
Wait a minute. I'm so glad y'all here. She said he was Jewish, and she said God, she said there wasn't no black people mentioned in the Bible. Wait a minute. She said here's Africa, right here, and God, He went to this he passed Africa. Africa is just
actually Israel is on the continent of Africa.
Thank you, sir.
Actually part of Africa, but they did the what's that canal? Suez Canal, which is man-made to make it look like it's separated from Africa.
Suez Canal is a man-made canal.
Right. And then she said, hold on. Then I just had to get my thought. And then she said, when God came to Moses, He passed to Africa because they wouldn't listen to God. So He went over there to the Jews. Lord. This is a big ass. Good, sir. But y'all tell her. Can somebody tell her that it's black people mentioned in the Bible, and God didn't pass the black people that go to the Jews? Can somebody tell her who's the king? I mean, who's the?
They just speak this.
Can somebody tell her that?
Yeah, we got you.
It was black people in the Bible. She said Adam and Eve was not black. Lord. Can somebody?
One thing.
She said God passed the black people.
You're a teacher, by the way. You teach in grade school or what?
I told them.
What university?
I'm retired, but I teach.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, you're good.
I teach English to women who are new to the country.
Okay. So first time, basically English speakers, intermediate speakers.
Yeah. Well, they're all different levels. I teach kind of a lower level.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So I think the discussion was basically based on like history and what we've been taught in schools.
Yeah.
Now,
that's all I know.
So that's all you know is basically what you've been taught in schools.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, when it comes even to one thing about the like as far as Christianity, Bible, and then how it does not merge with what is taught in the schools. There's a very big conflict. So what it is that we have a lot of people that in this current structure of knowledge, especially since the Renaissance period, that are basing a lot of their information on newly made up doctrines. For one, such as things, the classification of the construct of race is one of the major differences that if you look historically, you will see a brand new structure of race developed in the later 17th century. This is fact. Because before 1681, you cannot find any document or any book of any group of people that were called black or that were called white. You literally cannot find it. And this is something that you can go in the literary space.
I totally dig that. I think that's right. Yeah.
So what happened was there was clearly a political reason as to why a group of people would be classified as black and another one classified as white and whatever other race. And then in addition to that, their history being either erased or basically appropriated upon another group of people.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So basically what has happened with our people and just people in general is that they've been under a deception over the last 500 years over the concept of nationality, race, and ethnicity, which a lot of these things, these understandings are newly created. And how do we know that? We can basically go to the fact that what has been taught in school, it does not match up with what's in the Bible. And one thing with the Western world in general, and just the current education structure, especially in America, it has no foundational basis on the Bible. So this is the reason why the same people that would call themselves Christians today, they could not be the same people 2,000 years ago, because the difference in someone that's calling himself a Christian today and a Christian 2,000 years ago is that the Christian 2,000 years ago believed in the Bible. The people that call themselves Christians today don't. And that's in part based on their education system. What is the main caveat? What's the main thing that's talked about? Evolution. In order for you to believe in evolution, you'd actually have to have faith. Because you'd have to have faith that an animal can actually switch over to a man. And there's no actual proof of any living organism on the planet evolving into a different species. There's no proof. So you'd have to have proof that actually happened, even though you have no evidence of that even in today.
Yes. Go ahead. Yeah, excuse me, sir. Can you tell her that it was black people in the Bible? I just want her to know.
Now the Egyptians, right? Did y'all ever discuss the Egyptians?
She said there was no
what? The original Egyptians. What do you believe that they possibly look like?
Tell her.
The original.
Told me.
The original Egyptians, the ones that were ancient Egyptians, Ramses, Nefertiti, all of them.
Tell them what you told me.
Because
hold on. And she said the black people all lived in huts. It was no kingdoms. It was no empires. You said that it was no empires where black people all just.
So the reason why you believe that is because that is part of the education system is to downgrade us. This is the reason why we're treated less than. This is why us four men, our lives are least valued in this country. Because that is a construct of the power structure of this current world, which is largely ran by the same people that oppressed and enslaved us. So why would a group of people that oppress and enslave us and want us to be at the bottom of society, why would they ever show us or you that we ever achieved anything or that we are a special set apart people? it would not fit with the structure of this country and with the agenda to basically eliminate us. Because one of the things that we understand and we talk about, we understand that in the near future, that our people, that we're going to be targeted for basically a final solution. We know that. We know that we're going to be targeted for a genocide in the near future. This is something that you might not understand, because in your world, you are probably a liberal. You probably consider yourself a liberal, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, not conservative. Yes.
Exactly.
Oh, right.
I already got it. Yeah. So you probably consider yourself a liberal, and you're in the liberal doctrine that you've been taught in this country is that you're taught basically a level of benevolence, but a level of attitude that there's some way in which you can find commonality with an oppressed people. That really, at the end of the day, when the ish hits the fan, as to say, you're not going to be open. Your side of the liberal angle that classifies themselves as the dominant group will run away during our time of trouble, because it's already designed that way. And the reason why you would be able to do that, because you have to not be able to self-identify yourself with us. And that's already in your train of thought. Your train of thought is already exposes the way you feel because of what you've been taught. Okay? So what we're going to do is go to Genesis chapter 10, and we're going to go into the origins of the current of people on this earth. Now, if you study world history, you're going to know that different peoples have some overlapping stories, right? You have differences and you have similarities. One of the main stories that is similar amongst the ancient peoples of the world, which you were learned in school, that Mesopotamia was a cradle of civilization, correct?
Yes.
So why would you learn that Mesopotamia is a cradle of civilization, but then be taught about other things? They're going to tell you that man did not learn how to walk until 100, 200,000 years ago. But when you go into history, written histories of people actually line up with the beginning of this time period, which is after the flood, which would have been about, roughly you could say, 6,000 years ago. 5,000 to 6,000 years ago is basically the time of this particular era. So when you read about the Neo-Babylonian Empire with Nimrod, Hammurabi's Code, things like that. So let's go ahead and go to Genesis chapter 10 after the flood, and go into when Noah came out the ark.
I'm glad
with the big
they
start
was
with the
here.
table of nations.
I'm
Let's
glad.
start at the
Yes,
Yes, let's start at the top of 10.
This is Genesis chapter 10, verse 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and unto them were sons born after the flood.
So after the flood, you had three different groups. You had three different sons of man. You had the sons of Noah. Noah, by the way, would have been considered a so-called black man today. In fact, he probably would have been darker than me. Okay, because when you go in, even if you go into National Geographic and history, they're even going to tell you that that so-called white people were not around physically until about 5,000 to 6,000 years ago. About 5, right? If you go to National Geographic, you can read articles where they'll tell you that the expression, the gene expression, the phenotype of so-called Caucasians did not even exist in the earth until later. And we're talking about recent history. We're not talking about. So that means that even according to the doctrine that man has been on the earth, that the Homo sapiens has been on the earth for 200,000 years, 100,000 years, that would also mean that there would be no people that looked like you on the earth. Now, scientists, a broken clock is right twice a day. So science actually got it right that a group of people did not come out. We're going to show you that.
They came out of the north.
We'll go on to that. We're going to give you the true history. We're going to give you the real history of the world that the elites hide. And we can prove this based on archaeology. We're going to get the pictures of Petra. We'll get the pictures of Petra, and we're going to compare it with Rome and America. He's going to get that. So go ahead.
This is verse 2. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus.
Yeah, now the modern day Japhet people, in the ancient times. Now, if you go into current teaching in theological schools, when they're dealing with the races of men, because race means gene. So there, you cannot, it cannot just be gene. It's about your gene line.
Yeah, it's not
your paternal.
Yeah.
So the sons of Japheth were the original inhabitants of Europe. They stretched all the way from like modern day Turkey, Armenia, all the way to Spain. But the southern part, they didn't like basically Germany, this Ashkenaz, Tarshish, some of the sons he's named. And you had like Javan, you had basically a group of people that lived like on the Italian peninsula, right? Now, when you go into the history of even Italy was inhabited by a group of people known as the Minoans?
Who's that?
The Etruscans. The Etruscans. You heard about that? Because I'm trying to give you some history that matches with whatever, with what you know and with the scriptures. So the Etruscans were the original natives of Italy. And it can be proven, if you even look at secular history about the Romans that took over, they're not even the same descendants of the Etruscans. This is known throughout history. And if you look at pictures of the Etruscans, they're darker skinned people with dark hair, and even the men tend to wear their hair long. So we know that they couldn't have been related to Caesar and all these Roman emperors. We know that. And even historically, they'll tell you that the Etruscans and the Romans, who were two different people, but the Romans, the ethnic Romans, took over them. Now we're going to show you by archaeology where they originally came from, based on the architecture of ancient Rome and other ancient peoples that we can basically connect together. So go to Genesis chapter 25. Let's deal with Esau. Let's deal with the blessed Esau. Now, as you know, you've heard about the group of people known as the Israelites, right? Now, you've been told falsely that the people that are over in that land, the people that call themselves Israelis, are the real Jews. That's what you've been falsely told. Now, let me tell you this. They wrote their own encyclopedias back in the 1920s and 30s because, one, they were trying to establish their identity amongst their people, and they were trying to establish it among the world. But one of the things that they did is that they actually told on themselves. Now, I own one of the dictionaries. I don't know if this brother does. But they have a dictionary that's known as the Jewish Encyclopedia. I own one that's like a 1930-something. But in their early editions, back in the 1920s, and they even had the same quote. And they said, Edom is modern-day Jewry. Which they were telling their own people amongst themselves, because this information is shared amongst themselves. They were telling themselves that the modern day, that the people that are calling themselves Jews today are actually Edomites. They're not the real people. Now we're going to give you the actual forefather of these same people and of the people that ruled Rome and currently rule America and took over the whole Western world and actually took over the whole globe. Because one thing that you have to agree with historically, there's actually not a land or country on the earth that the people classified as white didn't take over. You literally can't find one. You can go to Easter Island. You can literally go to any remote island. It could be a remote island. At one point or another, they stepped there and took over that land, the resources, and the people. They may have left it later and made it independent, but they still have tentacles of control. So go ahead.
And this is just a book right here. The Roman Empire, the Empire of the Edomite.
No, tell them when this is written. Can you get through? Because you're a literature person, so let's get the publisher. Let's get the year.
Published by William Beeston in 1858.
Okay.
So the Edomites are a nation, a race of people that ruled the Roman Empire. Okay.
Weren't they in the Middle East?
They were before they migrated out. That's what happened. But the reason why this guy can write this because when you go into old literary works, going back even into the ancient Rome, it was known back then that the people that ruled Rome were of this descendant. They came from down there. Correct. And we'll show you the original land because you're going to recognize it in the pictures.
Yeah.
Now he's going to read this and then he's going to show you.
This is Genesis chapter 27 and verse 38. And Esau said unto his father.
So Esau was receiving his blessing. Esau and Jacob, they're brothers, but they're fraternal twins. They were born together, but they look different. Now Esau is going to receive his blessing. Because remember, everybody tells you about how Jacob stole Esau's blessing. Right? But Esau got a blessing. We're going to see what it is. So go ahead.
And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above.
Meaning, I'm going to bless you with whatever you want to. Your blessing eventually in the future, your descendants, because he didn't get this. Esau himself didn't get a blessing, but his progeny would get it in the future. So he's telling him, you're going to get the fatness of the earth, meaning the best place on the earth that you want to live. Keep going.
And Isaac said unto him, and answered and said unto him, Behold, I'm sorry, I'm going to go to verse 40. I already read that. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck.
So his other blessing was that he was going to be able to have superior warfare. He was blessed with the sword. Okay. Meaning he said, by thy sword thou shalt live. Meaning that you're going to obtain all this blessing of you being able to be do what you want. You're going to be able to do it by the force of the sword, meaning by military might.
Yeah. Okay?
So now we can go into, he's going to show you a picture of Petra. Now where Esau eventually inhabited when he moved, this particular guy, when he moved to an area in modern day Jordan that's known as Petra today. Now this is where he lived.
Yeah.
What does that look like to you?
Well, those are carved out of it.
They were carved out of the mountain in Jordan, modern day Jordan. Yeah. What does that look like to you?
See something similar to what we columns, the columns.
Because the architecture. What does the architecture remind you of?
Oh yeah, like Roman and Greek or Greek.
Okay, so you see this? Now Esau, his name was changed. Go to Genesis 36. You know his name was changed to, you know Jacob's name was changed to Israel? Well, Esau's name was changed to Edom. That particular place was ancient Edom.
Yeah.
And that's how he built his house. Now
that was where Esau was.
Yeah, in modern day Jordan, that's where him and his original inhabitants stayed before they went to Europe. Now look what happened. They became the Edomites, the Roman Empire. They left there, took over the Etruscans, and created the Roman Empire.
He's smart as hell.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 35. 36.
Verse 1.
No, 36.
Okay, yeah. His name is Esau.
This is chapter 36, verse 8. Thus dwelleth Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom.
Esau is Edom. So the Edomites are descendants of Esau. You see that? So the same people that inhabited ancient Edom left Edom, according to William Beeston, in 1851. This is when our people were in slavery. We couldn't write this, right?
Right.
Yeah, you look at it. They created the Roman Empire. And this was known in the ancient world.
Exactly.
So you have something to say?
Yeah, so I just wanted to show you something else from the picture we saw in Jordan Petra.
Oh yeah, look at that.
And now we're going to look at ancient Rome. We're going to look at modern day Rome, and then tell me what this looks like.
Okay.
So this is modern day Rome. You see that? What does that look like? This one right here, that picture right there.
Oh, that one.
So at the top.
At the top right there. Do you see what? You see the columns in there?
Oh yeah.
But it also looks like see that dome?
Yes.
What does that look like?
What does that look like here in America?
Well, in America, it's the U.S. Capitol.
U.S. Capitol.
Yeah.
This is what we showed right here.
Africa.
Yeah. Now, are you familiar that when the forefathers of America was getting prepared to name the country the Constitution, are you familiar with what they called America? They called America the last of the Romans.
The last of the Romans.
Now, if that's the last of the Romans, who are the people that took over? Who are the people that ruled America then, according to the Bible? It would have to be what? The children of who? The descendants of who?
Edom.
And archaeology, see, different races of people have particular archaeological structures that they like to do. That's the reason why when the Romans ruled, that particular structure was prevalent. But when they fell in the 5th century, the fall of Rome, which are you familiar with? They fell to the barbarians, which you know who the barbarians were?
They came from the north.
Yeah,
they were the Germans.
Yeah, but the barbarians. Barbarian was actually a name that you coined a race of people.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They were our people.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Get her!
that's
Get her!
the history of the barbarians. The barbarians were our people that settled in Europe over time, and that they were second class. They were being oppressed. You can look up the history of the battles and the oppression that the ethnic Romans did upon the barbarians. Now, our people could be citizens like Paul was. Paul was a Roman citizen, but he wasn't an ethnic Roman. When I mean that, he was an Edomite. You could be a Roman citizen, but not be an actual native Roman. Does that make sense? Just like here. Like a Native American is a native, but you could be an American, but you're technically not a Native American, right? So, just like he showed you, that structure was built in Rome. There's a reason why when you go to any Capitol building, in fact, if you go down the street, you'll see that same structure here.
Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm.
So why do you think that particular structure is prevalent if they were not the same people?
What I was taught was that they wanted to emulate the Greeks and the Romans.
Correct. Yeah. Now, during the Middle Ages, those particular structures were not being built. If you go through archaeology, the Middle Ages, all of a sudden it just disappeared. Why? Because those same people that ruled in Europe and in the parts of the known world, they fell. When that Rome fell, they all fell with it. And what happened is historically they were chased into the caves of Europe. This is the reason why one of the things that the people that currently rule that started the Renaissance, they started calling themselves Caucasians. Because Caucasus Mountains. Because they were chased into the mountains. That's why they called themselves Caucasians. Because think about it.
Yes, sir.
Why would you call yourself after a name of a mountain range where it had caves if you really lived in the other parts of Europe?
So these were the Romans.
Correct.
Who were chased out.
Yes.
Into the Caucasus.
Get Job chapter.
Got there all day.
Come on.
This is Job chapter 20. This is Job chapter 30. I'm going to jump right on into it. Verse 5. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as often a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in caves of the earth, and in the rocks. Among the bushes they brayed, underneath the nettles they were gathered together.
This is the prophecy of the Edomites when they fell. The original fall is that they'll be pushed into the mountains, into the caves.
And it actually was the Caucasus Mountains.
It was actually the Caucasus Mountains.
Right.
So for a 1,000-year period, they lived in caves. And then some of them became serfs. Like you're familiar with feudalism? Some of them became the serfs. The people that you hear about that are the serfs in Europe during the time of the Middle Ages, a lot of them were the children of Esau. So they were basically used as serfs to basically till the land. But over time, because the people are people that ruled in the Middle Ages, because if you look at the Middle Age times, if you examine their laws and what they kept and what they believed in the same things as the laws of the Torah. A lot of their customs and everything was very similar. And that shows that it was a different set of people ruling. Because they were not worshiping the gods of Rome. They weren't worshiping different idols. But what happened is over time, towards the end of the Middle Ages, they started going into idolatry. And according to the scriptures, the descendants of Israel, if they go into idolatry, the God will take them down with another nation, which is what they did. Which is the reason why the period that you know after the Middle Ages is known as the Renaissance. Now, are you familiar with what Renaissance means? What does it mean?
It means rebirth.
Rebirth of who? Based on what we were talking about, who would be the rebirth of?
Well, I suppose the Edomites, right?
That's correct. That's correct. Now, get Malachi chapter 1 and verse... Malachi chapter 1, start at the top.
Ooh, Lord.
Now, this is a prophecy, according to the scriptures, that they were going to get back their power. Because the plan was they were going to fall, but then they were going to come back in power to rule until the end of times, which is what we're currently in right now. And all the events of the presidency of America, of Trump, all that stuff ties directly to the scriptures, including the enemies of America. So go ahead and go into this real quick.
This is the book of Malachi, chapter 1 and verse 1. The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, said the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, said the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage to waste for the dragons of the wilderness.
That was God speaking?
Yeah, God is speaking
children of Israel, because the Israelites were going into captivity. So the children of Israel are asking, how are you saying you love us and we're in this condition?
Yeah.
But he reminded them that he loved Jacob, which is our forefather, and he hated Esau and gave his heritage to be wasted, which means to be destroyed. Go ahead, keep going.
Esau's heritage.
Yeah.
Yeah, which kills his descendants.
Verse 4. Whereas Edom said,
Edom is Esau, right?
we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places.
So they said that Edom was saying to themselves, we are impoverished, but we're going to go and rebuild the desolate places. Rebuilding, we're going to rebirth this thing. But what's going to happen?
We are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus said the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord has indignation forever.
So basically the Lord said, you will rebuild, but I will throw it down. I will destroy it. And the people will know that you are the people that I have indignation forever. So basically, according to the scriptures,
explain to it what indignation. You know what that?
You know what indignation is?
Yeah, it's like
Righteous anger.
Yeah.
Meaning justifiable anger. And it's forever that the Lord has upon the nation of Edom because of what they did to our people. Get that sign out. Now this is the people of the Western world.
Thank you, Lord.
Now when you go into this,
talking about, then he goes through it.
and there's various literary works that was written in the 17 and 1800s that was written not by us but by the people that control this world, that they know that some of these particular native peoples match up. So when they came over here and they slaughtered the natives of the Americas, that they knew that they were slaughtering the children of Israel. They knew that they were slaughtering the children of Israel. Christopher Columbus and all those people, they knew that. Because Christopher Columbus, if you go into his one of his books, it tells you that he brought Hebrew interpreters from Spain when he was on his way over here. He knew he wasn't going to India. He knew that he was coming to the fourth part of the earth, and that he was going to run into people that spoke Hebrew. Yes, he knew that.
They were speaking Hebrew in the Americas.
Yeah, you can get the information from Lost Tribes and Promised Lands by Ronald Sanders. That book was published in the 1800s as well. It gives detailed accounts of those Hebrew interpreters interacting with those Indian natives, and they stated that they spoke a broken form of Hebrew. That's how they communicated.
They could understand them.
Yeah, but yes. they could. That's how they communicated. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So when they brought them over here, because they knew that the 10 lost tribes came over here in the 8th century, not 10,000 years ago, not through the Bering Strait like people talk. They came here on ships during the 8th century BC. Yep. And this is what they were told. This is what the natives told the explorers when they came here. And in fact, there's a book that's published. It's actually published at the University of Texas. We don't have it right here, but it's a book that's published. It's about the natives of the Americas. It's published by the University of Texas, and it basically takes a whole bunch of journals written by different explorers during the 15, 16, 1700s. And it's a lot of their letters and information that they said about the native people. When they came to Mexico and met the natives of Mexico, which would be the Aztecs, right? The Aztecs told them that their forefather was Issachar, who's one of the sons of Jacob. So the native Issachar, the natives of Mexico, the natives there of the tribe of Issachar, and this is actually documented in letters and this is published by the University of Texas, by their university press.
Where in North America did they find the Ten Commandments written in Hebrew?
The Los Lunas Stones in New Mexico.
Yeah.
In New Mexico, they have something called the Los Lunas Stone, and it's basically they found the stone that has the 10 Commandments written in the Paleo Hebrew.
Yep.
And some of the artifacts that they found among the natives included Assyrian coins and Assyrian idols, because that's the last captivity that they were in the 8th century. So when they came over here, they brought some of that stuff with them, and they were found to have artifacts that would have been around in Assyria. So how would an Assyrian artifacts, ancient Assyrian artifacts from the 8th century BC, be in North America if they were not the same people?
Now here's another little piece of information. I have a book. It's called Ancient and Modern Britons, and inside that book You know, we're always
What's the name of the author?
His name is McRitchie. Can't remember his first name. David McRitchie.
Yeah, David McRitchie.
Yeah, it's called
And when was it written? Give us
it was written in 1820, around 1820.
So we couldn't have wrote it.
Yep.
Because we were not allowed to read, write, and we were enslaved, right?
Now they got a little excerpt inside that book, which they put in there, where they made contact with the Shawnee Indians to find out where their origins were from. How did they come to these lands? The Shawnee Indians told them that they came on a boat ride from a long trip all the way to the Americas. So that validates that Bering Strait lie, that Bering Strait is a lie, that they actually came over here on ships. And that, yep.
And National Geographic, about 3 years ago, they published an article that says that when they did the genetic markers of the natives of the Americas, because they have to find those that live on reservations, because those are the ones that are more likely to really be Native Americans, not the people claiming the five. As you know, there was something called the Dawes Rolls, and you had people that were not Native American claim that they were, right? They found their genetic markers that matched to West Asia. So how could a people have genetic markers in West Asia? West Asia would be the Middle East, so it'd be basically North Africa, like Egypt, all the way to like modern day Iraq. That's West Asia.
Then can you tell her?
So that would mean that they were originally inhabitants of that land.
Then can you tell her the people of Egypt who built them things? What color was those things? I got this wrong up. She said that black people didn't leave no history. Get her.
Well, our main history is this, but we've written if you go into the early written works, the very first written works that you could find, such as Hammurabi's Code and the epics of Gilgamesh and things like that, these are known to have been written by people that were as dark as we are. Not only that, according to the scriptures, when you go into like the first empire in the Mesopotamia was known as the Babylonian Empire. Okay? And that's when you heard of Tammuz, Semiramis, Nimrod. Nimrod was of the descendant of Ham, and his father was Cush. So, which would be the modern day Ethiopians. Like modern day Ethiopians are
Cush is Africa.
Yeah, but
below Egypt.
But the original land started in Mesopotamia. They had parts of East Africa and North Africa, but you're thinking of the kingdom of Cush, like Morocco, Sudan area, and start going down to Blue Nile. You're in the Blue Nile region. Kenya, Ethiopia, Blue Nile.
She thank God passed Africa.
But those people who lived
went to
in
the Jews. What you tell it, dog? Lord.
Now you mentioned. Well, what I was taught was that the earliest humans, the bones and stuff they found up in Africa. I mean, the oldest human remains are in, middle of Africa.
That's incorrect. That's incorrect. See, part of what the deception of modern day science is to do is to throw you away from what is written in the scriptures. Okay? Get 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and speak words against the Most High, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So if you examine one thing that's realized when you study history and what has been taught about the history of mankind, you notice that it goes against this word. In the public school system, the stuff you're going to learn is going to go against what's written in here, and that's by design. Go ahead.
This is 2 Thessalonians 2 and 9. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness.
And one of the truths that's being spoken against, which I think is further up, he shall sit in the temple of God, making that he is God. Like verse 3 or so.
Let's see. This is 2 Thessalonians. I'll start at 2 and 3.
2 and 3, yeah.
Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first of that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalted himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God.
So when you go into the Renaissance period, there's you've heard of the Sistine Chapel, right? Now what happened is that when they took over during the Renaissance, the elites decided to basically create a great deception upon the earth and made themselves look like the children of God.
The pictures.
Correct. So in
they're all white people.
Correct. On the Sistine Chapel, you have God teaching the Son of God. So this is what that is talking about. And how does he oppose? When they created their education system, everything in their education system goes exactly against this. The origins of man, the origins of families and races, and the history is it. So that way, that's the part of the deception that's actually going to make these people not be able to receive salvation, because they're going to believe that lie that this person that opposes themselves against God created.
Now, can you tell her how did they create this picture of?
Come on, man.
Okay.
No, she don't know that. She think he's a. Ooh, Lord.
What color is just a little question off top. What color is a penny?
It's copper colored.
Copper color. What if you burn it? What if you burn it? Have you? It turns green. If you burn a penny.
If you burn a penny.
Black.
Yeah,
it'll get darker.
It gets darker, right?
It gets darker. That's what it means, that the luster of the polish will change colors to like a more of a darker brown. Like if you burn it, it'll turn a different color, but it'll still be polished. Like it'll still be a polished color, but it'll brown itself. It'll brown itself. Now go ahead.
Dang, bro. Is that 14?
Yeah. For Revelation 1:14, you can get Daniel as well.
Oh, I'm in 14. I'm supposed to be in 1 and 14. Okay, so this is Revelations 1, and I'm gonna start at 13. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. This is talking about Jesus Christ. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. So this is the description that they gave of our Lord and Savior, that his feet were like fine brass, as if they were burned in a furnace.
Thank you.
So that means that his complexion, if his feet are black, his body, his face, his head, his hands would always be black. His hair was like sheep's wool, which is like it's woolly hair.
And nigga hair. I mean, black people. Yeah, look.
You know,
I don't have to hear that shit no more.
Have you heard of Newspeak? You ever heard of Newspeak? Orwell.
Thank y'all.
1984.
Okay, yeah.
Newspeak, right? Are you familiar with Newspeak?
Yeah, like using language in a way that's
not the original.
Exactly.
Now, he brought up the wool part. Do you know that in early dictionaries prior to like 1970, that if you looked up the word wool or woolly, it'll tell you the hair like the Negro. Like if you look up old dictionary, I have a Winston simplified dictionary that was published in the 1930s. And if you look up woolly, that's what it will say. Now over time, they took that out in like your modern day Webster's dictionary. Now the reason why I'm bringing this up is because in the Bible, Daniel also sees God, the God of Israel, in a vision. And he describes it. Okay? He describes it. Now, also, if you're familiar with Scripture, Moses also saw him too, but he wasn't allowed to see his face.
Right.
He comes down.
He sees his backside.
Come on. Hold on. Hold on. So you saw his back. Now, it was revealed to him how he looked. He came, so that means he has a form. He has a physical form that he likes to stay in, right? Yeah. So we know that according to scriptures. Now we're going to go. Are you going to get to Daniel? You want to get it?
Yeah, I already got it.
Get to 7 and 9, right?
Daniel 10 and
you get the Messiah, and then we'll go back and get the Most High. So that's 10. 10 and 5 is Son of Man.
Right? Now this is the
7 and 9 is the Most High, right?
No, this is the Most High right here in 10 and 10.
Read it.
Okay, this is Daniel 10. I'm gonna start the 5th verse. It says, "Then I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of Uphaz."
There's some of the Yahawashi.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's
There's
Yahweh.
some of the Messiah. So we're bringing it. We're going from Revelation, showing you the original because they left some stuff out. You're gonna get the bigger picture of how he looked. Okay, so this is the same description.
Jesus Christ.
Daniel's seeing the same. Yes, they're seeing the same.
God.
Yeah, he's seeing Jesus. He's seeing Jesus in this vision. This is Daniel.
Yeah.
Then John saw another vision, but we're putting the two visions together. Go ahead.
Verse 6, "His body was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass." So now we're looking at the arms, and his arms as polished brass. Now in Revelations it said his feet were as polished brass. So we're looking at the whole body, so to speak.
Correct.
In
So
that,
they didn't show his face. They didn't show his face.
Mhm.
The face was revealed on Revelation. So
Yeah.
this one, Daniel got to see his whole body, but not his face.
Yeah.
And his arms and his legs were like the color of polished brass. Now, if you Google polished brass, it's going to come up with brown, like carvings, like brown, because people make statues out of it. They make things out of it, metallurgy. They metals it down and build structures and things like that. So basically, if you polish brass, polish means to burn. Polish means to burn. To polish in the old ancient English. It is
Originally.
Yes, the original, because we were talking about newspeak. Remember, that polish back then also meant to basically burn, like it was in Revelations. He said burnish brass, but it's polished as well. Now, now let's look at the Most High, because remember, Jesus couldn't see the face of the Lord. Why? Because if he saw him, he couldn't live. Because he's so glorious that if a natural man saw him face to face, he would immediately die. Right? Because you would be in shock and awe. Your body would probably faint if you saw that magnificent of a creature. Right? Right? You would probably faint and die. So that's why he said, "No man can see me and live, but I'll let you see my back." Right? So the Daniel saw his face. So go to 7 and 9.
This is Daniel 7 and 9. "I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit."
Ancient of Days is another name for God, the Most High, because He is without days. There's no end and beginning. He created time. He always existed. He's the Ancient of Days. Keep going.
"Whose garment was white as snow,
So he was wearing a white garment.
and the hair of his head like the pure wool."
The hairs on his head was like the pure wool.
This is Daniel.
Daniel's seeing a vision and describing the Most High God as having hair of pure wool. So when you look at the 16th chapter, does that fit the description?
Now I'm going to give you a definition.
Thank y'all.
Now I want to show you this definition about wool in the Webster's Dictionary 1828. This definition right here goes into that first one, and look at the second one.
Thank y'all. Now I don't have to hear.
Short, thick hair. And so that short, thick hair.
So now I'm asking you a question. If based on the description we gave, if you were to see the Ancient of Days, the Most High God, what group of people would he look like?
Hello? Hey.
Now tell us why we've been lied to for the last 500 years. Since the Renaissance period, we've been told that he looks like Charlton Heston.
And the Bible also said that he sprung up by the tribe of Judah. And the tribe of Judah today, is known as the Jews. That's where the
real
word Jew come from. He had to be from the tribe of Judah, either Judah, Benjamin, or Levi,
Yes.
in order to be called a Jew.
And that's why.
But Yahawashi was that, which is so-called Jesus Christ's true name. He was out of the tribe of Judah. It tells you that in the Bible. He sprung up out of the tribe.
So, and Jesus, right? He'd have to look like his father, right? Because he even told his disciples. They asked him, "Show us the Father," and he says, "If you've seen me, you've seen my Father."
Whoa!
So that means, how did he look like?
There you go.
Now, concerning the top of that with Judah and Negroes, right? That's that sign. There's a book written by a Christian He was a theologian. His name is Dr. Abernathy.
Yeah.
He wrote a book. It's called A Jew, a Negro. That's literally the name of the book. You can go on Amazon
And pick it up.
Yep. Now, when you go into all the early writings of that were written, they were writing and admitting that the people that they took on cargo slave ships over here were the real Jews. They were admitting this. This is in all the old books. See, you're not going to get that in new books, and it's not going to be part of your required reading in the public school system or in college.
Yep.
You have to literally search for this stuff, and this is stuff that's circulated amongst the elites of this world. They circulate that information amongst them, but we've been blessed to find out about the same information that they need. But when they make legislations, when they do all these legislations, they say we're going to try and target them, throw them in jail, put drugs in their community, all this stuff, they know that who they're doing it to.
They even have the legislation. You probably know about this that they passed back in the 70s. I think it was the 70s. It's called the King Alfred Plan, and that was talking about the extermination of the black race. And then they revised it in '84 under Reagan and named it Rex 84, where they included.
It's a martial law plan to exterminate us.
That's when they included the native, the Latin tribes, so to speak, like the Issacharites, the Simeonites, Zebulonites. So they put all of the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom under one umbrella. Initially, they only had the southern kingdom, which is black.
Yeah, because there's already federal documentation that we're supposed to be targeted for extermination upon a great war, which they will orchestrate. The elites are going to orchestrate a great war in the Middle East, which also lines up with prophecies. And during that time, they're going to attempt to kill us all. This is the reason why we need a savior. We and those that are under that target. That's the reason why we have to believe in our Savior, who the world knows is Jesus Christ, but his real name is Yahawashi, according to the Paleo Hebrew, which is what he was called 2,000 years ago. Yahawashi. Go ahead.
I wanted to add to the point. I'm gonna go back. When we first started the conversation, we were talking about the sons of Ham, and the Egyptians was also the sons of Ham also, and we would all agree that they were dark-skinned people. The Egyptians, right?
Thank you.
So, and you were saying Yahawashi was also Jesus. He was a black man according to the scriptures, and also all the disciples that followed him were black men according to the scriptures.
And this is stuff that elites all know.
And it's proven in the scriptures with the disciple Paul when he was arrested and he went to the chief captain to plead his case. He went to go talk to the chief captain to plead his case, and this is the account here in Acts. This is the book of Acts. Chapter 22, and I'm going to just start at verse 38, 37. And as Paul was to be led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, May I speak unto thee? Who said, Canst thou speak Greek? The captain asked Paul, Can you speak Greek? Because he was a Roman. I mean, the guy was a Roman. And so and Paul answered, no, and then he said to Paul in verse 38, Art not thou that Egyptian, which before these days madest an uproar and leadest out into the wilderness 4,000 men that were murderers? See, the Greek captain, he thought he mistaken Paul for being an Egyptian.
And you know who was also mistaken for an Egyptian in the Old Testament? Moses.
Well, Moses, right.
Oh,
right.
She said he was not God color.
No,
tell her.
he
She said he was not.
See, the original Egyptians.
Black.
If you even go to the museum in Paris, the Louvre,
something like that.
Yeah, the Louvre. If you go there, they have a lot of the more known artifacts.
Right.
But, from ancient Egypt. Now you could Google it and you can actually pull up different ancient Egyptians. You have like the wooden structure, like terracottas that are wooden and stone structures where they show statues, yes, and they have them in color, so there's no confusion because you see the gold with the Ramses and all that stuff. But a lot of people get funny. So they want to act like they don't know. Yeah. So if you pull up Nefertiti, they have a gold one that's in color. And they have her skin as dark brown.
And
And they have her son on the cross with her.
He said,
But-
Fatima, now, they was all Jews. I'm glad you telling her.
Yeah, those who are the apostles, it was actually prophesied that a group of people would take our identity. It was actually known in the scriptures
so
that
like the Egyptians.
no, it was known that the people that call themselves Jewish today, that they would steal our identity. It's actually in the scriptures. They're supposed to steal our identity according to prophecy. So they fulfilled prophecy by calling themselves us.
Yeah.
Most of the so-called blacks here in America today, they are the original Jews.
The original Jews.
right. I lived over there for a couple of years. And what he was speaking to you about Egypt. Now I went to Cairo. In Cairo, they have 3 levels to this museum. They won't allow you to bring phones in there because they don't want you to take the pictures, of course. In the 3rd level of the Cairo Museum, they have all the Egyptian statues that have never been touched. They have the noses intact, lips and everything. All of them are black people. All of them are black.
Thank you.
If you ever go up there, you go to that 3rd level, you'll see everything that's untouched without the cracked noses and lips and stuff like that. It's amazing. And it's a reason why they don't want you to bring these
Yeah, because
phones.
that stuff is hidden to the rest of the world. Like, you got to go out to these places, and then some stuff they'll never let you see. You know, they'll never let you see certain things, because there's certain things that elites keep for themselves, and they have like their own separate museums where they can all go. They can go to like the bottom of these museums. They can go to different parts of like the Cambridge University. In Oxford, they can go to different rooms that you have to get secret access to see some of these different things. Just like King James. King James, they have, you can see original paintings of King James if you go there.
Yeah.
And it was known that him and his descendants were that they were black people. They were the last black rulers of Europe. That's the reason why there was an assassination attempt on him by Guy Fawkes.
Yeah.
Because Oliver Cromwell, it was a race war.
Yeah.
Oliver Cromwell came from another country to help set up the parliament.
Yeah.
To throw down the last remaining throne that ruled in Europe that was from our people. And that's why his son is known as the Black Boy. It's one of his nicknames of his son, Charles II, is the Black Boy.
And they have a book out there. You can get it on Google. It's called the Secret Memoirs of the Services of John Mackey. During the reign, and this was written in 1732. It describes the features, the description of all the people who were in the courts, the kings, the subjects, all of them distinct, black, brown, chubby, skinny. Everybody was black or brown.
In England.
The rulers,
That's why
the serfs were Edomites. But they rose to, but during that time, if you go through history in Eastern or Western Europe, you'll notice that there was a lot of crowns were being overthrown. A lot of crowns were being overthrown and being replaced. Like currently, the throne in England is not even related at all to the King James. They come from a different. They come
from Germany.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
You know, it's Saxe-Coburg. Yeah.
Thank you.
They're from a whole different house. They're from Germany. So how does a German end up becoming the king of Great Britain?
Whoa.
He overthrew the original throne, which is King James and his sons, the Charles. And when they overthrew Charles II, that's when Oliver Cromwell had fully set up the throne, the Parliament. During Oliver Cromwell, he went and massacred the natives of Scotland and Ireland, and he basically set up they ended up setting up a new throne, a new royal family out of Germany. Saxe-Coburg?
Yeah, or
something like that,
And
right?
Gotha, Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, something.
Yeah. That came out of Germany. But you can go on Wikipedia and they'll let you know outright. It came from Germany. But today people say that they're not even related on the bloodline to King James.
That's why they came when the new rulers came in. They said the new royals are in town. I think that was in 1917.
And you know this
that's when the Saxe-Coburg.
Because it had other people came in. Because you had the Habsburg dynasty.
Yeah.
The Habsburgs were taking over a lot of thrones all throughout Europe. And then other families rose and took over certain ones later. Like that's the reason why if you read let's say because you have the thrones that were disposed during that time. But like, if you look at like historically, this is a common theme of Edomites. What Edomites do is when they conquer a place, they become kings of that place. If you go into Alexander the Great, if you look up Alexander, even if you look up Alexander, he's known as the king of Persia, the king of Babylon.
Because he and his army went all over.
Yes, and he made himself king.
Yes.
And then one of his officials, one of his friends, Ptolemy, made himself the Pharaoh of Egypt.
Yep.
This is the reason why there's confusion about black and white Egyptians. Because what people are learning about the white Egyptians is that they were actually came from Greece. They set up the Ptolemaic dynasty. They took down the original pharaohs, and then that's when the Ptolemies ruled, and they became pharaohs of Egypt. And they literally sat on thrones in Egypt, like we're the pharaohs.
And they were white guys.
Yes.
Just like Herod, he sat over Israel, and this is a picture actually a depiction of when the Romans sacked Israel. See, they carrying off all the
goods. 70 AD.
Yeah.
Archetypus. If you go to Rome, there's an area that's known as the Archetypus. You can pull it up on the internet.
Yeah.
This is the close-up of it when they took this, and this was prophesied to happen to us.
Right.
And it was prophesied that the children of Edom was going to do that.
Yeah.
So, and look at the pictures of these people. They're the Edomites, just like this says. And it was prophesied that they would do that to our people. And the people that were being sieged were us. That looked just like us in the siege.
And go into our history, where we fled to after that, and then how we get over here.
Yeah, both of them, some of them fled to different parts of the Middle East, but a lot of them fled to Africa. And they went into Egypt. The ones that survived that siege, they went into Egypt, and they went down the Nile and started settling in different parts of Africa. And they established different kingdoms and empires that they don't talk about in those areas. And that's why after the Middle Ages was over, they went about to West Africa to take down the rest of us that were there, that had settled in those lands. And we were not traded by our own people, we were traded by other nations.
Oh, the time you took
we didn't trade ourselves. Oh, because just because two groups of people have dark skin, and they're not, doesn't mean you're the same nation.
I got the definition right here. This is from the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary. And remember we went through the three sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth? This is the definition of Ham. But they'll try to say that we are Hamites, the Israelites. They try to say we Hamites.
Yeah, they try to, this is what...
But you know the Israelites come out of the bloodline of Shem. Same bloodline go all the way down to so-called Jesus. Woo! But when you look at the definition of Ham, it says Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, but not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, and the Canaanites.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, show her the picture. This is from Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary.
Yeah, it's just an insert. I just Googled it and the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. No, it's new. I mean,
but it's been in all the old ones.
Yeah.
Even in other dictionaries, they use the same definition because they've already completed the research back in the early 1900s. The millions of dollars were spent for them to dig up the artifacts, and they found out that the ancient bones of the people that were buried in Israelite tombs that they knew for certain, when they compared the bone structure matched that of the people that were called the Negroes. Various groups of people in the West and Central Africa and people of the Americas that were classified as Negroes matched the same bones as the ancient Israelites. So they could not say that they were the sons of Ham. They knew that they're not the children of Ham. Now I'm gonna show you something real quick. This is another one. And this is from Wikipedia, right? This is from Wikipedia. When you look up Hamites, when you look up Hamites in Wikipedia, when you go down here, German 1932 ethnograph map portraying Hamitic as a subdivision of the darker races, not to be confused with the Negroes. Meyer, Biggs, Lexicon.
So
this is written in 19. That was written in 1932.
You were descendants of who?
We're descendants of Shem.
We're Shemites.
And Shem had a son called Arphaxad. Arphaxad was were the ancient Chaldeans.
And that's more.
We're actually ancient Chaldeans, but our forefather Abraham. Yes. Yeah, we lived in Ur the Chaldees.
Those 3 sons of Noah were so-called black men.
Yes.
You know, because we just read you the progenitor of the so-called dark races was Ham, and so on, and Japheth and Shem. But we are the Shem.
We are the Shem.
I want to show you something because they always say a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Woo!
Now, this guy right here, I'm going to show you.
I love y'all.
His name is George Fitzroy, the first Duke of Northumberland. This is his, look what it says here. He is the 3rd and youngest illegitimate son of King Charles II of England. So I'm going to show you a picture of him. That's what they have him as on the picture. Now watch this. This is the book, The Secret Memoirs, and this is George Fitzroy, the same person. Now look what it says. It talks to him. Is the son of King Charles II by the Duchess. So this is talking about Fitzroy. Now go down here. He is a man of honor, nice in paying his debts and living well with his neighbors in the country. Does
not much care for the
conversation.
Yeah, of men of quality or business. Is a tall black man, like his father, the king.
Whoa!
About 40 years old.
So this is King Charles II's son, tall black man, just like his father, King Charles. So when I showed you that,
Charles is the son of who?
Is the son
King Charles the First.
He's the son of King Charles I, who is the son of King James. So this is King James's grandson. But in that picture, it showed him as a white guy. But the book in 1732 states that he is and you can tell by the 1732 writing, they turn their S's into F's. They look like F's or whatever. So this is more proof that we have that even in the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages, what they call them, is those times we actually ruled. And when the Renaissance came, they took the blacks out and moved the.
Now, explain images. What's the word that you learned in the Renaissance about changing images?
Iconoclasm.
Iconoclasm.
The defacing of images.
Iconoclasm means to break the image, to change the image. Now, get Maccabees chapter 1 out.
Yeah, Maccabees 1.
You know what I want? You know what we want?
Yeah, change that.
Now, we're going to show you that this is an actual pattern of the Edomites to do this when they conquer people, is to change the images of the original inhabitants of the people. Okay? So, iconoclasm is something that is known, that was prominent in Renaissance. Now, if the same people ruled in the Middle Ages, why would you need to change the images?
They were taken over. And the people that took over changed.
Correct. And then they give you history. And they say, here are the kings of the Middle Ages. This is King James. This is Charlemagne. This is this person. This is that person. And they give you these new pictures. And they go to history. We go to school and we believe it. Now we're going to show you that this is something that was common even during the time of Alexander. So that's it. So start a little bit up. Now this is when the ancient Greeks took over. Okay, now the ancient Greeks were also, not the natives of Greece, but the ancient Greeks as in Macedonians, like King Philip, and then his son Alexander. They also came from Edom as well. Correct, but they were a different family they were descendants of a different family of Edom, like one of the other sons. So they took over first, and then the Romans took over later. So they were both Edomites, but they were two separate families. So go ahead.
This is the first book of Maccabees, chapter 3, verse 46. Wherefore the Israelites assembled themselves together and came to Mizpah over against Jerusalem. For in Mizpah was the place where they prayed aforetime in Israel. Then they fasted that day and put on sackcloth and cast ashes upon their head and rent their clothes and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likenesses of their images.
So they had the book of the law. In our old books back then, we even had images of our forefathers drawn. So when the ancient Greeks took over Israel, they changed the images to their own face. So they became Noah. When we looked up David, we would see them. We would see our forefathers. And that was the first example in history of iconoclasm, and it was done by the ancient Greeks.
And that scripture also debunks when people say that the Bible didn't even exist back then, that they actually had the book of the law back then, in that time.
So, it's a lot of deception that's being pushed. It's a lot of deception. and you only
Thank you. Oh, it's all up in the net. I told you the black people was powerful. What the fuck? Can't no white man do this here? No. Black man.
Catch that on camera. Say that again, man. Say that again. What you say they can't do?
Black man.
Say that for the camera. What you say they can't do?
Hey, get Deuteronomy 7 and 6. Get Deuteronomy 7 and 6.
Our purpose out here, though, is as Israelites, we here to wake up the children of Israel, let them know their true identity,
And let them know who their Savior is.
and who their Savior is.
Man, y'all just
And guess what? We don't discriminate based on outward appearance.
No.
Yeah.
Because we understand gene line. We understand that according to the Bible, the seed line comes through the man. We've been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, so we know that some of our brethren are not going to look like us, and vice versa. So we're looking for faith, because we know that the only people that were given faith to believe in this word were the Israelites.
Thank you.
According to prophecy, that they would be the only ones that would believe in this word. So we can't even reject. We can't reject someone based on outward appearances. We know that the key indicator of our people is going to be faith in this word.
Right.
So we don't believe in racial modern day categories. We're just dealing with. You've heard the term in science, phenotype and genotype. You could be of the same gene and not have the same physical expression. So we understand that. That's even proven scientifically. You know?
It's just, the skin color, as I have been told,
Yeah.
is just a very slight variation. It's
Correct.
not, it's not a separate thing. It's just a very slight variation.
It's a very slight variation. So we understand that that's just a physical expression of the genetics. But we believe that the gene itself has been maintained on the earth, and that our God is looking for those that have faith in His word.
And that's why black people call y'all devils. Because your behavior.
We're the Edomites.
Woo, the Lord! Devils!
The Edomites are known as it's in Sirach. It's in Sirach or Esdras. They're known as the forger of lies.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir!
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
another.
It says,
That's like the devil.
Yes, correct.
Edomites.
And the devil's a deceiver. That's what it means. Devil means literally deceiver. So go ahead. Bring out 7 and 6.
Okay.
The holy people. Above all people upon the earth.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto Himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
And the elites, they know this. So that's the reason why. See, if we were on our own merit, really not able, we're not a special people, the government and the elites would need to create so many obstacles against us. If you look at what's happening with our people, we're being under complete sabotage on a regular basis.
Right.
This government, this structure is completely set for us to fall. When you have to throw all these obstacles to people, you got to do discrimination. You got to bring drugs. You got to separate families. You got to bring in doctrines that's going to tear away families. You got to do all these things to keep people down. That means you're just not special.
Yeah.
You're not special because that means on merit you can't compete.
The people who are doing it are not special.
Right.
Thank you.
They're not special because if you got to do all those things to keep people down, that means you're not special. Because if you take those things away and it's strictly based on merit, we excel because we're the chosen people of God.
And to back that up, and to back what he's saying up, when the so-called Christian church, they go to church every Sunday and they sit down in front of this guy and he's telling them that Jesus loves everybody and then that he's coming back. So predicated on what he has said aforetime about the oppressors, I'm going to read this for you. This is Luke 1, starting at the 68th verse. It says, "Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people, and have raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us." So now, all those things that the people that the brother was speaking of, that they did unto us, that Savior is coming for a particular set of people to save them from those people who are doing those things.
That's the true meaning of salvation according to the Bible, what he just read. So when you hear people be like, I'm saved, no, you're not. This is the true meaning of salvation according to the Bible.
She did
Saved from your enemies.
Saved from your enemies and all the hands who hate you.
She did tell me that she can understand why black people dislike white people. He told me this in bed. Because white people on the news, they do all type of shit, so we came out of it like
what the brother was saying, how this place is set up to try to keep us down. J. Edgar Hoover started COINTELPRO. Like if you got Amazon Prime, go watch COINTELPRO. It's the FBI war against Black America. That's the name of it, and that's still going on today. As brothers, as Israelites, you know, it's a lot of camps like this all over America. Brothers doing the same work we're doing. They got a few down the street down this way. And as you can see in the news, in the media late, I don't know if you've been watching, we've been demonized like today. And it's all part of the same agenda of COINTELPRO, as if we've done the Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, all the other leaders. It actually was called to prevent the rise of a black Messiah. That's what COINTELPRO was started by J. Edgar Hoover. You can look it up. It's a true thing.
That's
why Martin Luther King was assassinated. All these other black leaders were assassinated because they're trying to suppress the leaders that come up out of these black, leaders that come up and try to teach our people the right way. Now, all the brothers that's Hebrew Israelites out there everywhere in America, we non-violent. We don't promote no violence or nothing like that. But if you can look in the media today, they trying to promote us as being violent people and promoting violence.
Yeah, we don't even believe.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we don't believe in no military takeover.
And I cause for all my brothers all around the world that's doing this work, that we are non-violent. And because we abide the scriptures, and the Most High tell us to wait upon Him, until He returns. So that's what we about. We just got here to teach our people the truth and let them know what's going on.
Yeah, you let them know the ways of salvation.
Yeah, that's right.
Because the reason why we're in the condition we're in, because our forefathers, they sinned. We sinned as a nation. We didn't follow the word of our Lord, and He promised us He was going to put us in captivity. And promised we're going to be oppressed.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing while we're going through this stuff, because we're facing the judgment.
And we know when we bring out this truth of the Bible, it offends a lot of people, because this is the truth. It's going to offend people. And
she took it all in.
This truth will be life. It's life to us, to the Israelites, but it also is the same destruction to other people.
Yeah. So that's why other people are.
That's why it's offensive.
Right. That's why it's offensive.
Why is the great persecution during the Roman Empire? You had the great persecution in the early 4th century by Diocletian.
Okay.
If you look up the great persecution, that's why the Christians, the original Christians, which were our people that believed throughout the Roman Empire, that's the reason why the Roman Empire had a great persecution against Christians during that time. Because the truth of this Bible was coming out throughout the empire, and it was basically vexing the leaders of Rome, knowing that we were telling our people that they had a savior coming, and that they were going to go down. And that right there is a major threat to the global world establishment, because they know it's true. They know about the UFOs. Have you heard about the UFO sightings? The space program, the Space Force that was created. You know, they have a new military branch called the Space Force.
That surprised me. Like,
you know why?
Like we're getting ready to wage war in space.
Yes.
Yep. Because of the UFOs. It's been the sightings are starting to increase exponentially. You have a website where you can go on. You can go on to Google and just type in UFO sightings in Houston, and it'll mark every place where UFOs are being sighted. It's in every city.
Oh, tell him about
last night we were driving down here on 45 from Dallas. And just drive along, straight line kind of. And there's like right in the center of view, there was this blazing light It was going down in a
My
diagonal.
daughter seen one just 2 days ago.
And then it kind
same
of like,
way.
yeah, and then
It disappeared.
it just like sparks.
Yeah.
It disappeared.
That's what she said. She said the same thing.
That's
My
why
daughter
I-
just said the same thing. She said it was a falling star, and she seen it
Yeah.
explode. She seen it explode, but I was like,
It
there was no
did.
falling star.
So what? How
Yeah.
how would you interpret that?
Last
That's
night.
a chariot.
It's a chariot, or it could have been an angel.
Yeah.
You know.
Is that-
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
Depending on what
Yeah,
you
depending on what you saw, because you know on the in Houston there was a great UFO sighting. You know Robin Williams, the comedian, right? The actor comedian. The day he died, there was a big. I was driving going northbound from Sugar Land to the airport to pick up my parents from the airport, and on the way there during the day, this is like midday, and it happened to be raining that day too. And over 59 and Fondren, near Fondren exit, a big UFO appeared in broad daylight,
Damn.
about the size of a football field, a disc shape, had lights flickering on it, and it basically came out of the clouds, and then for about 10 seconds, and everybody saw it. The people that were driving
What
that
the
day
fuck?
saw it. And it dematerialized itself. It showed up, and it disappeared. And it was as big as a football field. And I told my parents later, when I picked them up, I said, the news is going to have to report a major UFO sighting, because I saw it, yes. I was down
you
there.
seen it.
And all the local news stations were called and bombarded by tens of thousands of calls saying they saw a UFO.
Yep.
And they got
And they had to say it on the news.
They
That's
tried to
how I-
debunk it. There was some UFO specialist. He said that it was just reflection on the glass, people windshields from light.
And this is during the day.
And
Yeah.
But
it was cloudy.
It was
But
it was too many people that seen it to how to go.
It was thousands of people that seen it. When you have that many people, you can't debunk it.
Now explain the chariots and stuff to her. Explain explain what they are.
Yeah, well, chariots.
What the UFOs are. What the UFOs
Yeah, those are chariots of the Lord.
And it's from God.
Yeah, those are from God. So when you
all in the Bible.
when you go down in history, even with Alexander with his conquest, he had a chronicler, somebody who was chronicling all of the victories and everything that when he conquered the people. They stated inside, the chronicler stated that there were 3 silver discs that shot down and disrupted the elephants as they were going towards India. They had, I mean, you can Google it, and I have the book at home, but you can actually Google it, and they'll give you that little excerpt inside there. Just put in UFOs and Alexander the Great. And it shows where the UFOs, the chronicler said that the silvery disc kept diving down at Alexander's elephants, and it disturbed the elephants and caused confusion, and the guys were shooting, whatever at them. So you have the historical accounts of this, which is also inside the script.
That's why they make movies like Independence Day, because they're trying. Movies like Independence Day are meant to be psychologically prepare the world to believe that they're fighting against an enemy. But it's actually they are going to fight against, because for the most of the world, the coming of the Messiah is an act of war and invasion. And the elites of this world, they know that when he shows up, their time is over, and that when him and his elect catch them, they're going into hardcore slavery.
That's an enemy that cannot be defeated by.
Correct. But
Right.
they're going to try.
Yeah.
They're going to try.
But it's,
That's why they trying to get the space program back up and running. And
yeah.
also it's what was that? That was on this documentary called Acknowledgement. This guy used to work with the space program, and he said that like America already has a whole fleet of so-called UFOs, like they're ready to go to war. with
so they got their own street
Yeah,
secret
like they're ready to go to
ships.
war with aliens or something. They got their own fleet.
Technology. The DARPA works on it.
They're
in Virginia.
planning for it, actually.
But go ahead and read this.
But
This is the end time prophecy.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 66, and verse 15. For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind,
Chariots meaning
Like a
the
vehicle.
UFOs.
Like a vehicle.
Yeah.
to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire.
To be shooting laser beams out of them. Just like Star Wars.
He's had these hunkies here.
So now he just read that about the chariots coming. So where are clouds? Where are clouds at?
Sky.
They're in the sky, right? This is Psalms 104, verse 3. It says, "Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters? Who maketh the clouds his chariot?" So we see that those chariots, because everything that's spoken about them, those UFOs are in the sky. The brother saw the UFO materialize within a cloud. So he maketh the clouds his chariot. So when we're looking at clouds and we're looking at these structures inside the clouds, you're like, man, look at that. That's a perfect circle of a cloud.
Sometimes that's how they camouflage themselves.
That's how they camouflage. And that's why the United States is always roaming the skies and, with radar and all this stuff, but the technology that the Lord has, it supersedes whatever we have.
It's indestructible. You can't take it down. You can see it, but you can't shoot it down. You can't even chase it because it can maneuver and it can dematerialize.
Yep.
It can go invisible.
Yep.
And come back again. And then come back in a different form.
Yep.
And the elites of the world know that the increasing signs of these UFOs means that there's going to be literally an alien invasion. Because alien means stranger.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So there's going to be an alien invasion, and that's basically to deliver the elect of Israel that believes on this gospel.
Yep, that's right.
The destruction.
Here's one. I kind of get into some of this alternative news. I just go in it for the little nuggets that they give. There's a guy by the name of George Norrie. He has this little.
I've heard of.
Yeah, George Norrie.
On the radio.
Yeah, he was a radio, and so radio guy on alternative media.
Late at night.
Yeah, real late at night.
AM radio. Yeah.
So this guy, he had a so-called general. They were talking about UFOs or whatever. This so-called general, the guy never gave his name. He just came out of there, and it was kind of out of the ordinary from the people who he was speaking with previously. The guy said that in 1983, a cigar-shaped UFO landed on this particular base. And when it landed, he stated that men came out in a structured form, in order, and they were all black men. And he says they walked as if they had never been conquered. And then he hung up the phone when they were trying to ask him more questions.
Oh, this was a guy who called in?
A guy just called in and he told them. And then when they tried to ask him questions, he hung up the phone.
But there's an astronaut interview.
Yeah, astronaut interview said whenever they went to the moon, they witnessed some black men. It's something I can't recall what he said, but
I'll tell you if I can find the video.
Oh, I ain't never heard of that one.
No,
what's his name?
Black people.
Which one?
It's an old astronaut.
Not Neil.
Oh! I know who you're talking about.
Aldrin.
Yeah. With Buzz Aldrin them.
Yeah.
He's come up with some.
So here's the thing with that. So the guy that was being interviewed. I had it on my Sleuth of Yasharala YouTube. So they have this. He's being interviewed by this lady, and he says when Buzz and Neil were up in space, they went up there and they had a visitor come aboard the ship. When they came back down, and when they opened up the hatch, they said a 7-foot black guy came out with them, and the lady was like, what do you mean? He said it was a black guy that came out of that ship with Buzz and Neil. And so the thing is she was just totally puzzled, like, how could that be? This guy has so many credentials. Because if somebody says that, you're like, okay, this guy's a nutcase.
Yeah.
But this guy, I can't remember the guy's name. He wrote this book called The Rings of Saturn. It's a really high profile book.
I know how it looks like.
But the guy, when I looked his name up to see what he was about, this guy had accolades from A to Z. I mean, NASA, United States government, this guy was no idiot. And he wrote this book talking about the rings of Saturn. I can get his name real quick. But that was an amazing interview that guy gave. And he stated that it was a black man that came out of that ship. He said he was 7 feet tall. And he just like, the guy was black. You can Google it. You can actually, hold on.
Those are the angels.
Those are the angels.
The angels have human form. And they look like men. If you go through the scriptures, they look like men. And they all... and they look like us. Because we're of the same imagery. Right? We have similar imagery. And they're basically big, strong, valiant black men.
Oh, Lord.
All the angels. Michael, Gabriel,
Norman Brugman. Here it is right here. Norman Brugman, Black Extraterrestrials.
You found it, man. Dang, I couldn't even find it.
That's it.
Is that the interview?
Yeah, that's the interview. This is
That's
the one.
it.
If you Google this, and you can,
He will.
yeah,
I'm gonna keep on it.
Norman Brugman, Black.
How long is the interview? Because there's a shorter clips.
It's like 3 minutes.
Okay, so it should say it in there, right?
Yeah,
Because she's gonna ask him how did they look, and he was like, they look black.
they were black.
She's like, she said, what do you mean black? He said they were black.
Man, y'all had changed my whole life. You changed my whole life. Just for her to hear the truth. The truth. You see this here?
What you
This
say?
is
What you got behind
Power.
there? What you got behind that shirt? What's that shirt say?
Oh, Star
Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars.
That's what we talking. Hey, I didn't see it, but we talking about it though.
Yep.
We talking about it.
Black man.
And
Yeah.
we got a Star Wars shirt inside. Look at that. That's the spirit.
Black man is here.
He's talking about it. He's talking about it at 151, but it's too low on my
It's too
phone.
low, yeah. But if you look it up, you can see it. And
He will.
He's a known in NASA and in the whole
Actually,
aerospace sector.
heavy.
He saw. He said they were black men. He said they came. Said they were tall.
They have photos of it. He said when that guy got off the ship, they took photos, and he said it was a tall black man. They got off with Neil and Buzz Aldrin.
And then they like dematerialized or something?
Well, no. He just got off the ship with him, and
But he said men though, because he said plural in the interview. I thought he said plural.
Oh,
He said that when they came out, he said he said they were black men. He said they were black. Because I don't know if that's the same interview.
yeah, but let me look up.
I thought he said men plural.
Just to show that this guy is no idiot. You know, he's not just a.
And he's old. He doesn't
You
care.
know that, man.
He's ready to die.
If you go,
So he's willing to talk about it.
Right. She had college education.
That's something heavy to hold
She ain't
in.
done.
Take to the grave.
Yeah, he held that for decades to the book.
Because he's not supposed to talk about
And
it.
they got the pictures. We're not going to show the pictures. If they got any images of them, which you know,
This guy is 98 years old. He was born in August. This is him. Begram is author of the classic book Ring Makers of Saturn and Tomorrow's Technology Today, which document the existence of extraterrestrial vehicles and immense power, a scientist who pioneered the methodology of thermal ice prevention design. He is also credited with the roll stability laws for airplanes and missiles. This guy's no idiot. He has some credentials behind him. But this is just a few of them. When you go into his aeronautics piece, I mean, this dude is just way up there. He's like the top of he's like an elite guy. Now he's 98 years old. He's just letting it out. He's like, hey, I'm going to die anyway. So
and the elite notice.
They know it.
Trump has been debriefed about it. Yeah, Trump has been debriefed about it. That's why he had to create they had to put extra money in for the Space Force before the year ended.
Yep.
Before the year ended, they had to give that money because they needed to raise more money for the Space Force. This is the reason why that Elon Musk, what they did is NASA has been kind of defunded, but they've been giving it out to different people that have the ingenuity to be able to create better products for the government and for the elites. Because really, this is primarily for the elite to go up and be able to orbit out of the earth. Because when the Messiah comes, a lot of them are going to be either under the earth or they're going to be in the orbit,
hiding or escaping.
trying to escape.
Yeah, trying to escape.
Which is prophecy.
Yep. And see, look at this guy's book. He wrote this book, The Rings of Saturn. Look how much that book is. The information in there, in there is priceless. That's why the price is so high on the book, because he goes into things that people just don't want to hear. He's telling a lot of information. So, I mean, there's some heavy stuff out here. You know, you just got to dig for it. We're at the end times. You know, the information, brothers like us, we're going out and we're searching for it.
Internet. Damn.
Well, even with the internet, you're going to get a lot of fluff.
Yeah.
So you have to go, like the brother was saying, into those books around the 1800s to get the truth. Because you go into the 1920 and 2000, you're not going to get nothing but
They will give you basically New World Order doctrine.
Yeah.
The stuff that's going to make you submit to the New World Order.
Yep.
Which one of the things they're going to do, they're going to destroy the global currency. They're going to institute the RFID chip known with the mark of the beast. which would be basically putting one's hand or forehead, depending on what mechanism they're trying to control the person.
And
So they have to know what they're talking about. Everybody know about that.
Yeah, because when you go into Sweden, they've already instituted those people going in there by the droves just to get the chip. Now, according to the scriptures, we can't do that, because if we do accept that, we're doomed. So, you know, you might as well just take death over attaining the chip. You know, that's not an option for us to get plugged in with a chip. You know, so that's one of those things for those who are of the household of faith would have to, you know, not accept that mark of the beast.
Mm-hmm. Now, that's why what's happening right now, even with what Trump did, all that stuff is eventually, like the global elites control Trump. Trump is some kind of shadow government. Obama, all these, even Obama is even less of a plugged-in person. At least Trump comes from a family that was already plugged in. His grandfather, great-great-grandfather, was already part of like the elites in this country when his grandfather moved from Germany. So he's like kind of like one of the made men of this society, and he probably has a bunker already somewhere where he's going to try and hide upon the return of the Lord. But they're going to try and escape the judgment, but it's not going to work. You know, we can get that Psalms 149 as well. I'm going to get this real quick for the Edomite thing, right? Now, this is one of the reasons why it's closed for the weekend. They don't open Saturday and Sunday. Closed Saturday and Sunday. This is Obadiah. This is the book of Obadiah. This is the reason why the Edomites are. This is one of the main reasons why. Like he said, why do our people hate a certain group of people? Because of what was done to us. But it's even deeper than that. But this is Obadiah verse 10. In fact, let me start at verse 9. And thy mighty men, O Timon, shall be dismayed to the end, that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Yep. So because of the violence that they did against the 12 tribes, globally, not even just the ones on this side of the world, but globally, because they knew who we were during the Renaissance, and they slaughtered us across the earth. And they're still doing it today. And in addition, they're planning on doing a major slaughter that has never been done upon the earth at any time in history will happen to our people. And that's what we're trying to escape through faith in our Savior. Yep. And because of the violence that they've committed in the past, present, and the great violence as far as that they will do in the near future to us, they'll be cut off forever. Meaning that the Most High is going to completely eradicate them off the face of the earth.
Yep. This is Psalms 149 and 5. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of God be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Praise ye the Lord.
The saints sound like they some violent people.
Hey.
Right? Saints don't sound like some, I love you,
you love me,
we're a happy family. That's the saints. The saints, the elect men, are of the nation of Israel. That's the power they're going to get. They're going to go across the world, and they're going to hunt out every leader, every elite, and they're going to put them in iron cuffs. They're going to put them into slavery, hardcore slavery. Because again, what goes around comes around.
Revelation. You got your Revelation.
This is the book of Philippians, chapter 1 and verse 28. And in nothing terrified by your adversaries, which is to them an evident token of perdition, but to you of salvation and that of God. So this was Paul speaking to the Philippians, and he was saying, don't be terrified in nothing that your adversaries were trying to do towards you. Being that our faith is so strong, our faith is what's going to be our salvation, but also it's going to be the destruction of our enemies. This word that we preach this word, the word is destroying our enemies. That's what I say, it's rousing them up. And when they hear this truth, it rouses them up.
That's why they want to black out on media.
Yeah.
They're going to eventually shut
Right.
down. It's going to be like North Korea. You know, North Korea, you know how people are, yeah, North Korea, so even Kim Jong-il, they block out the internet. They don't want them to know anything. They can do that here.
Yep. This is Jeremiah 30:16. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey.
That's basically that's the end story.
That's the end story.
That's the end game.
Yep.
He's going to flip it completely around, and he's going to give our people, the elect of our people, complete domination.
Yep.
Like real world domination, like really world domination.
Right.
It's going to be complete because he's going to turn us into Superman.
Yep. He's going to
Literally, indestructible Superman.
Yep.
That's going to be able to.
Abilities, man.
If someone is hiding in a bunker out in the Rocky Mountains, I'm go in there and take them out. Bust through the rocks.
This is why
take them out.
This is why you see a lot of the Marvels and the DC movies that are coming out. This is why they're doing that, because these people know what's going to happen to our people in the last days. Bodies are going to be changed. We're not going to be like mortal men, regular mortal men. We're going to be like he said, Superman.
And they have visions of this.
With powers.
Yeah, that's why these elites.
Black man is strong. I can't tell you.
That's why they're trying to. They're creating. If you go into the technology, like
exoskeleton
exoskeleton.
G.I. Joe is, you know, he has exoskeletons.
Yep. They're building that already with DARPA. DARPA is coming with all the suits. They're coming with the robots, the military robots, because they're trying to get something that can combat it. But
exoskeleton suits will allow man to run faster and jump higher. So they're trying to perfect it to where when you put this suit on, you'll actually be able to jump up like on top of a building. Now and they've already actually have examples of it where a man is picking up heavy things off the ground because his suit is giving him extra strength to pick up like 1,000 pounds up off the ground. Because, you know, he has extra power.
This is the prophet Amos. He had a vision of Edom's destruction. This is the book of Amos, chapter 9, and I'm going to start at verse 1. I saw the Lord standing upon the altar, and he said, smite the lintel of the door and the post, and that the posts may shake, and cut them in the head, all them that I will slay, the last of them, and the sword, he that fleeth of them shall not flee away, and he that escapeth of them shall not be delivered. Though they dig into hell, thence shall my hand take them.
Though they dig into hell, Greek says.
They underground bunkers in the mountains and underground. Well, the mountains. I'll get into the mountains. And that they take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. A space station. They're gonna try to escape into the space.
They're gonna try to be in the orbit, like Elon Musk is building one right now.
Right.
He's building ability for rich people to basically be able to have their own ships that will send them into orbit around the earth, and they're doing this to escape. Keep going.
And though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, I will search them and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them.
So they're going to be in underground submarines in the water, trying to hide from the Lord. And what he's going to send?
He's going to send the serpent.
He'll send a Leviathan.
Leviathan.
You heard of Godzilla? The Godzilla thing is actually based on a true thing.
It's spoken about throughout the scriptures.
So there's actually a big sea monster that is actually Godzilla.
Now, if you
go as Leviathan in the scriptures.
Now, if you go onto Google, you can Google the blip. The blip. It's called the blip. It was a loud noise that was heard for over 3,000 to 5,000 miles that the U.S. heard, right? So they investigated it, and so they were like, "Man, what was that? That thing was like over 3,000 to 5,000 miles in range. So it had to be something big." So when they went in, some guy came in with his fluff news and said, "Oh, it was a whale." But the whale, his speech is only heard 700 miles, not 3,000 or 5,000. So then a guy comes in and he says, oh, it was a giant iceberg that fell. So this is what the U.S. said. But then here comes Russia. They get the blip. They hear the blip too. And they say, no, it's not a whale and it's not an iceberg. It's a creature. It's something that's living down there that made that noise, and it has to be very big. So now, when you link that in with the Leviathan, whatever that is down there, that thing is huge.
Yeah.
Russia knows it, and the United States knows it.
And it has to be a creature that can go below the capacity of anything man-made, because when you deep sea dive, the submarines can only go so low.
Yeah.
And man can only go so low, you'll get crushed on the inside. So this particular creature can even go down lower than that.
Yep.
And it stays down there at the bottom. And it's so big, it's been there for thousands of years.
And that's why when you go into Greek mythology, they have a thing called the Kraken. So Greek mythology has some stuff that's linked to it. You see what I'm saying? So they base it off of the scriptures.
Same thing with Godzilla. Godzilla is all based on the rumor and the stories of this sea creature that exists, but you're not going to see until a certain time.
And we saying one, it might be multiple of them down there.
Yeah, it might be multiple. Exactly. We're saying one, that's just known as Leviathan, right?
Yep.
And they probably just all congregate down there at the depths of the ocean. They probably swim around and just catch whales and eat them.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Because you got this, go into the 1800s and start to look into these giant sea creatures. And what they started finding out is that they were seeing octopus. These things were like 300 to 400 feet long. They were showing these gigantic
giant squids,
these gigantic sperm whales. They were like, what could have wrapped its tentacle around this giant sperm whale? Sperm whales eat squid. So whatever that sperm whale ate, it had to be a very big squid, because they started seeing the lacerations from the arms that were coming around it.
Yeah, the sea is the most unexplored part of the earth, because it's so deep and vast. Most of the earth is covered in water. And remember, the things that were in the water were not destroyed during the flood.
Yep. So
they've always been around. And anything that's in the ocean has always been around since the beginning of creation.
Yep.
You know.
Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Hey,
No problem.
All right.
I'm about to stay here, so when I'm around, I'm gonna throw y'all about $20 or $30, cause I needed that. He needed that. Nah. He needed that to see that the black man is a king. The fuck? Thank y'all. Ooh, I'm gonna throw y'all about $20 or $30. That's to y'all around.
Yeah, every Saturday.
That's on the strength.
Every Saturday.
That's on the strength. I needed that, man.
Right.
Woo! Get in there.
Gave me something to
Think about it. So now when you watch TV and you see certain things happening, you see certain things being acted, you see certain misinformation about what we teach, because you're going to see more information about us. They're going to start saying that we're violent men. They're going to they're going to hate group. They're going to say all that stuff, and so you'll know. And then as in the war of Armageddon, that's in the Middle East, that's what's going to happen. The mountain of the troops. According to the scriptures, one side is going to be Russia, Turkey, India, China as the main powers, according to the Bible. And then Babylon and their allies, which would mainly be the European Union. And they're going to basically be on both sides of a global war that's going to, in the scriptures known as Armageddon, that's going to lead to the coming. It's going to be a great slaughter. And it's going to lead to the coming of the Messiah, who eventually will fight them and destroy those armies and deliver his elect.
Is there? Do you call yourselves anything? I mean, are you school? Or are you just believing?
No, we don't identify ourselves as black. We don't identify ourselves as that new term. We're descendants of Jacob, the children of Israel, and we classify ourselves as disciples of Yahawashi in the world over.
And all over
Huh?
We got, I mean, not just Houston.
Yeah, we have other brothers in
Yeah.
other countries. Like, there's variations of doctrine. We believe in the gospel.
Yeah.
There's other camps that don't believe in the gospel. So just like it was 2,000 years ago, there was various sects, right? In Israel, you had Sadducees, Pharisees, Herodians, and you had brothers that believed in Yahweh Shai. That's how it is today. We're the ones, we believe the way that our the original men 2,000 years ago, the apostles and disciples, we believe the same exact doctrine as they do.
Yeah.
And we are pushing the same exact message.
Yahawashi is the Paleo Hebrew?
Yes, that's what he was called 2,000 years ago. That's
Damn, he's smart.
that's the Paleo Hebrew. That's what he was called when he was on earth. That's literally his given name when he was when you read in the scriptures, when they called him and they asked for him, they asked to see him, Yahawashi.
And that means Savior.
That means he delivers. He saves. Yah means he. Yahawashi means savior or deliver. So his name means he delivers. You know, so he delivers us from the hands of our enemies and saves us from our sins as well.
Yeah.
I was gonna say God bless you, but you are already blessed.
Thank you. Yeah, we have our email there, the Gospel of Yahawashi. Do you have any questions?
Yes. Any
If
questions,
you have any questions,
about
feel free
black
to email.
people?
We can send you videos. I can respond.
People call you, say, Vinny, Vinny, I'm glad he gave you that card. Anything you need to know now about blacks. Oh, Lord. Thank y'all. She's been hiding. I can't say hiding. But they live in the mountains. I'm talking about. But no black people.
Now you see what based on what we talked about, how what's been told out there to the masses and what is really the truth and what they are being misrepresented of what's going on in the world. It's a major, it's the biggest deception on earth ever in history of mankind. Is what basically the people are being fluffed into.
Damn. That kind of got you to know that Jesus is a.
This is the book of St. Matthew, chapter 26 and verse 6. Now when Yahawashi was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when the disciples saw it, they had indignation. To what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. When Yahawashi understood it, he said unto them, Why trouble ye the woman? For she has wrought a good work upon me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. For in that she has poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this that this woman has done be told for a memorial of her. And with that, we want to give all the glory and all the honor to the Most High and His Son, Yahawashi. Peace and salvation, peace and salutation to the brothers and the elect that doing this work in truth and in sincerity. Shalom.
Shalom.
Thank y'all.